Hey, what's up, movie fans? Now, if you're like me, you were a little emotionally traumatized by the events of Infinity War. It was downright devastating, and Marvel knows good and well that they've got plenty to atone for. Enter Ant-Man and the Wasp, Marvel's latest work. It fits nicely between the two wars, Civil War and Infinity War, and it also serves vigilantly as the MCU's misdirection from the impending psychological abuse that Avengers 4 is bound to be. Ant-Man and the Wasp sees our favorite miniature man under house arrest for his pro-Captain America stance on the Sokovia Accords. Now he's been enjoying his time at home, playing with his daughter Cassie and helping Luis and the rest of their gang. FBI agent Wu has been seeing to it that Scott refrains from his pint-sized japery while being confined to his home. But once Scott starts seeing visions of Janet Van Dyne, Hope and Hank pull him back into some mini misadventures in search of their long-lost matriarch. What are you looking for in the MCU's latest edition? Well, the widest draw of any Marvel film is probably the feel-good action, and Ant-Man and the Wasp is certainly no exception. The action isn't on par with Marvel offerings like Civil War or Winter Soldier. Those Captain America films have a pretty good track record, don't they? And the emotional intrigue is nothing like that of Infinity War, but I suppose that's the point, isn't it? You get your standard Marvel back and forth, plus the power-specific angle. Ant-Man and the Wasp's shrinking and growing factors seem more finely tuned since the first Ant-Man back in 2015. These factors plus Ghost's phasing ability provide for some unique fight choreography. And of course it's Ant-Man, not Iron Man. So it's all in good fun. There's never a tangible sense of the stakes. There's no life or death, which is fine. We need a bit of levity in the MCU right now. I'm looking at you, Russo brothers. Taking into account the fact that the FBI is breathing down Scott Lang's neck while he's on house arrest, it almost feels like Ferris Bueller's Day Off of Marvel movies. So the action's decent, but we don't just go to Marvel movies to watch guys in suits fight each other. That's what Batman v Superman's for. Martha! There are usually a fair amount of laughs in the mix. How about the signature Marvel humor? How does that fare? Remember that scene in Parks and Recreation where Anne has to tell Leslie that she's leaving Pawnee? Well, that waffle is Ant-Man and the Wasp. As I've so subtly hinted, Infinity War left a lot of MCU fans reeling and wondering about the future of their beloved film franchise. A lot of us still haven't recovered from that haunting image of our heroes doing their best Kansas impression. This month's Marvel movie reminded us why we keep coming back, even after the darkness has consumed our hearts. I found this film one of the funniest in Marvel's recent history. Of course, we all love the humor in Ragnarok, but Ant-Man and the Wasp showers its audience with laughs. Nearly every one of the darker, more plot-driven scenes is liberally dressed and punctuated by humor. Again, Ant-Man doesn't have the darker characters, one more like Iron Man, who's like a tragic flaw character. The first film, which I'm actually not a fan of, showed us an almost pure, lighthearted Marvel flick. And that's saying a lot because we're talking about the MCU, not the DC one. Much of the humor I personally found disappointing in the first film has been more finely tuned in the follow-up. Fast-talking Luis is back, but with a brand new hilarious slant. Paul Rudd is probably one of Earth's most charming individuals, and it shows now as much as it ever did. And this time around, Marvel even has the cojones to poke fun at itself, referencing the infamous baseball cap and sunglasses disguise, which we all know, this isn't DC. Looking at you, Clark Kent. But of course, these are the main draws of any Marvel film. Action, humor, and we all go home happy after the end credit scenes, right? Well, Ant-Man and the Wasp does seem to break the mold a bit, but in ways that leave you a little less satisfied than the usual Marvel formula. The main villain, Ghost, for example, she's not the driving force behind the film's story, as Loki is in the first Avengers or Killmonger in Black Panther. Ghost seems a little less of a threat than the other film's two antagonists, Sonny Burch and the FBI, which is made clearly by her exposition dump less than halfway through the film. Focusing less on Ghost as a villain may be intentional as part of the lighthearted nature of the film. After all, one main villain isn't so easy to redeem as one villain of three. But it still works against the film as it feels like there's less of a force fighting our protagonist. They're plagued by a bunch of small threats more than they are one juggernaut. Oops, wrong movie. Once Ava tells her backstory, it's almost like her power goes away and the mystery dissipates. Just like so many Avengers on the battlefields of Wakanda. Hannah John-Kamen's performance is remarkable as a disgruntled and unhinged Ava, but sadly, the character herself didn't quite rise to the occasion. I know I've given Infinity War a hard time lately, but you all know I'm going to be waiting at the theater door next May like an incontent chihuahua. Until then, it was nice to learn how Scott Lang and friends have been faring. Ant-Man and the Wasp was, yes, your usual Marvel movie, but I much preferred it to the first. And no spoilers, the mid-credit scene definitely got me curious for Captain Marvel next year. It also caused me to snort in frustration, but I digress. How's your post-Infinity War road to recovery? Will Scott ever learn how to fix his own regulator? Let us know in the comments below. And for more content like this, visit our website at www.hereatindie.com. Until next time, see you later, movie fans.